just in case I say something completely brilliant that I want to steal for myself and
There we
broadcast
go.
later.
There
Snippets.
we go.
I just take snippets sometimes. So,
Good
so
deal.
yeah, you're kind of self-taught. It sounds like.
Yeah, for me, when I started writing the estimates, it was kind of hit the ground running. I was writing and running jobs, and so I kind of was self-taught in the
Yeah.
sense that going on YouTube and just picking the brains of some of the guys that have been doing it for years. So I don't want that same growing pain for our new estimator. I want him to be able to learn it the right way the first time, so we can kind of hit the ground running and really avoid the hurdles that I went through. So,
Okay.
and on top of that, there's I did take an estimating class. I'm sure you're familiar with Ben Justinson. And
I am.
yeah, yep. So I took that class and I thought about having him take that class, but it's more of an advanced class, to do the tricks of the trades. And so I'm trying to find something that can combine the basics of learning how to write quality estimates, but also go down the road of what his class is. And I was told to reach out to you. So
well, we all end up we all end up getting a little more advanced, learning shortcuts, learning little tricks and things like that as we go. We've got to start somewhere. So as far as training goes, I don't have a whole lot in the way of Xactimate.
Okay.
It's not something that I've really concentrated on. The main focus of my business is to write sheets, is to write estimates and invoices for folks in Xactimate. And we did about $2.5 billion worth last year. So we're not doing too bad. So as far as training goes, I'm just not geared for it. Unless it involves some sort of on-site, in-person, in-depth kind of coaching, consulting type stuff. And definitely I've been involved in getting some folks up to speed over the years. They get me in, they got a new person. I just kind of put them under my wing for about 4 or 5 days. And we really get into the weeds and we kind of trial by fire, sink or swim, like we're going to do this. And by the end of this week, you're going to know a whole lot more than you did on Monday type thing.
Yeah.
But also with that, we can get pretty deep into your business and your goals and things like that, and figure out, what the best tools are to put in place for you to really start accelerating things.
Okay.
But yeah, the main push of what I do is estimating, so yeah.
Well, I'm not
What else?
opposed to that because he is he will be writing and running his own job. So to have that backup, as we all know, it's a time consuming position. You're being pulled in every which direction. So to have that resource, I would definitely be interested in seeing what you guys would require for us to utilize you guys' estimating services.
Okay. Yeah. We go off of whatever you come up with. Some guys are using Encircle to do their documentation. Some guys are using something else. There's still a lot of guys out there doing, the old yellow pad and laser tape method. Be surprised how many of those guys are still out there.
Yeah. So to clarify, this would be primarily on the reconstruction side. So yes, it is the old fashioned, pen and paper, laser tape measure. A little bit about us to kind of help you understand, where we're at is 90%, over 90% of our work is reconstruction.
Okay.
And the reason why I'm wanting him to facilitate the estimating is to get me out completely from doing that so we can ramp up on the mitigation side.
Okay. Nice.
So it would be primarily until we ramp up on the mitigation, we're overwhelmed with those estimates. It would be 100% reconstruction.
Okay. So what I see especially with newer guys just getting used to it, I invite folks to get into, get us onboarded, get us up to speed, and put us into your system, in that we become your estimator until your estimator gets his training wheels taken off. And then in the meantime, whatever you pay us claims delegates to do, that's your work product. You get the ESX files, you get the price list, custom price list. If we decide to go that route, you get everything. So he can just he can at his leisure peel the onion and use these ESX files as his crutch and his kind of templates for what he's going to be doing moving forward. And then eventually he's going to reach a spot where he's going to be up on plane, and he's going to have a comfort level with this stuff. And then we just kind of dial back our involvement, which I'm not opposed to that at all. We've gotten several restoration contractors off the ground, as it were, and we just kind of get them out of the nest, and then they just go away. They're not a client of ours anymore, but they're still doing great work in the industry, which is fine by me. I'd rather, my take on the industry is there's just never going to be enough of us. And so the more people I can help bring into the ecosystem and do good work, that's what my goal is. So yeah, I would say short term, get us involved. Let us look at what you're doing and how you're documenting things right now, and then develop your estimating process for you or with you. And then eventually 6 months from now, you're going to be off on your own. Hopefully this guy's got half a brain and he's motivated, and he's going to get moving for you. How big of an operation do you have right now?
Including the owners, it's a total of 6 of us.
Okay. 6 people. So you count yourself as the owners or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's me and my father, and then we got Brian is the gentleman that's going to be estimating, but he's our project manager. And then we have a construction manager and a finished carpenter. We're going to be bringing on another one, so that would be our 6th.
Nice. And then the rest is all subs.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Nampa, Idaho, is that a resort community? Is it blue collar? What's the population base there? What's the demographics?
Yeah, it's agricultural area.
Okay.
It's farming. It's blue collar area.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been writing Xactimate up until this point?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
How do you think you're doing? Are you messing with pricing or yields or anything like that yet?
I haven't created any custom price lists, but absolutely changing the yields. Yeah. And that's been oddly enough, when I first started doing it, I had a tremendous amount of success. And lately it's been just an absolute uphill battle.
Every single file. Okay.
Just about. And it's what's motivating us to get out from primarily doing reconstruction and doing mitigation, so we can kind of, lack of a better way of saying it, claim control and setting the narrative. And so, yeah. Good.
Yeah. Well, good for you. Good for you. What other questions you got?
I like your idea. I like your idea in the fact that, maybe he can do some of our smaller claims, where you can have the time to just write it up, and I can review that, and predominantly probably use you guys as our estimator, and he can pick off of that. So
one thing I would recommend in short order is you get onto getinsights.org.
yes. Yep.
Are you a member?
I'll have to look back, but I did sign up. I do believe that I am a member, and I guess I haven't needed to use it in a while, but I don't know why I didn't think about getting him on there.
Well, they're doing a, let me see if I can open Xactimate right now. It's in beta, So I'm one of the beta testers of the new actionable profile in Xactimate, and it is changing our approach to estimating, because we were pretty good, but as it turns out, we can always improve. Oh, I just got locked out. That's what happens when you share. I've got two. I've got my password expired. Come on.
I gotta love that. Well, and that's why I wanted to reach out to is I'm the type of person that I like to pick other people's brains, and everyone does things a little bit different, and you can
Everyone
pick up
does.
something. Yep. And so thoroughly enjoyed Ben Justin's class. I learned a ton, and I got an immediate ROI on that.
Oh yeah.
But when people are recommending your name, and I don't do custom prices just because of the fact that I don't know how to fight for it.
Okay.
And that's been some of my hurdles too, as my growing pains is it's easy to write up an estimate, but how do you justify that? How do you fight for that? What's my successes has always been documentation, and as much as you can give to the insurance company to avoid negotiating with them, the better.
Yeah, you don't want to put yourself in a position that most people put themselves in, as they start negotiating against themselves, which is, it's just not tenable. All right, I think I just reset my password. This is a new interface. Okay. Weird. I'm going to share my screen so you can see. This is new. This is brand new. I've never seen this interface before. But okay, let's get back here. New password. Let's get in here. All right. So you're familiar with profiles, carrier profile, contractor profile.
Yeah, I don't really know how to change that. I use the contractor profile.
Yeah, I would invite you to start using the carrier profile.
Yeah,
it's just a whole lot more options. But let me just show you. I'm going to go in here and show you the actionable profile in action. Let me get a good. Let's try it. Okay, so this one is in farmers. I'm going to go and, oh, I did copy this. I copied this yesterday. Where is it? All right, I'm just going to copy this. Change it to the actionable profile. And whatever, I'm not going to use this anyway. Okay. There it is. Okay. So what Actual Insights has done with their profiles, they built in like 500 plus different rule sets that, oh, there's our notification that our call is in an hour. They built in, come on machine. Let's go in here. So they built in the completion rule sets right into the interface. Let's open this up. Come on, baby. Oh, things are choking today. This was giving me hell yesterday too. Let me pick an example. Main level shower 8. All right, main level shower. Main level shower. Let's see what's in there. Okay, so this was written from a client. Says send it to us. We need to doctor it up. Sounds like we need to add about 100 grand to this one, if I remember our conversation correctly. But in the actual profile, it says it just comes up with these different things that may or may not apply. But here, bathroom fan with light may warrant bulbs. Yeah, it does. Thanks for the reminder, Actionable. So you go in here and you find your bath fan. Where's my bath fan? Ceiling, crown. Oh, there it is. I'm gonna insert. And I just go over here and look at what would apply. Yeah, LIT. Let's just do an LIT ELL. Okay, let's put 2 bulbs in there. Anyway, so when I'm going to do this, this rule should go away. Let's watch it. Come on. And it's gone. So just that little thing, it reminded us to add $24 to this estimate because bulbs are justified. That the fixtures don't come with bulbs, But that sort of thing this profile is going to be game changing for a lot of folks because it's going to help them along, be their crutch when they're estimating. I mean, you can see there's tons and tons and tons of stuff. Yeah. It's trying to remind me that there may be quarter round needed on this wood floor. Okay, it may or may not. I'm going to have to look at that. Things like that. Mm-hmm. So this is, I think it's going to be the new way of estimating. It really just shows you all the justifiable things that you can do. All right. As far as justifying a custom price list, at the end of the day, you have to decide who runs your business. Does the adjuster run your business or do you run your business? And if you run your business, why you're taking your pricing cues from somebody else? Right? We all accepted over the years, I've been doing this since 2001. We all accepted over the years that Xactimate was somehow the right price. But with inflation and the fact that we get beat up on every single justified thing, the profit isn't there like it was in the early 2000s. It just isn't. It just plain isn't. And so the pricing may have been really good in the early 2000s, but it's stagnated for the last 22 years. And it's no longer really good. What it is a cost estimating program. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to email you the white papers. And if Ben didn't do this, I'm shocked and amazed. Did he give you any white papers, OMP white papers, pricing white papers from Xactimate?
Well, I've had the Xactimate white pages in regards to the overhead and profit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you have the most recent one?
I probably don't.
Okay. And what that one says is, it says Xactimate is a cost estimating program. Xactimate does not accommodate for supervision or any direct job site costs. It doesn't accommodate for them unless you put them in. And it also doesn't accommodate for any profit or any business overhead. Period. End of story. So if the pricing doesn't include profit or overhead, and Xactware is telling us to put in our own profit and overhead percentages, the default of all of us, we go to 10 and 10. I'm gonna give you a link to one of my videos where I talk pretty deep on this. But if we're only marking up our work 10 and 10, and I'm sure your dad can speak to contractors markups because he's been doing this longer than both of us have been alive, probably. 10 and 10, a markup of 10 and 10, 20%, only yields a gross profit of 16%. And if you need 10% profit net at the end of the year, and you have a 20% overhead, which is not unreasonable, you got 6 guys, you got a couple trucks, you're probably creeping up into the 20% overhead as a percentage of your overall revenue. You've got total overhead costs, including your profit, of 30%. and you're marking up 20%, you're only getting 16% gross profit, you're shorting yourself about 16%. And so where are you going to make that up? If you can't charge for it, if you can't change your pricing, you're going to make it up somewhere. You're going to cut a corner somewhere. You're going to pay your guys less. You're going to find a way, because we always do. But it's unreasonable to expect you to cut corners and become infinitely efficient in your business instead of just marking up your work properly. So that's what a custom price list is at the end of the day. It's just including a proper markup. And so I've got guys that they're factoring these price lists, anywhere from 15 to 30%. And you factor the price list across the board, because if I need to cover 30%, which is still low, I need to get a markup somehow of 45%. And I've just used this real simple there. Oh, there it is.
Yep.
I mean, so there's what most adjusters don't understand, hell, most people don't understand, is there's a difference between a markup and a profit.
Mm-hmm.
Markup and a margin. Markup is not margin. Markup is what you use to get your margin, but those are not the same number. So if I need I need to cover a margin of 30%, I need to be marking my stuff up 45%. And if you're only using 10 and 10, that leaves you short about 25% of markup you got to accommodate somewhere. So that's what we do. We take the price list, we mark it up additional 25%. We still use 10 and 10. We show 10 and 10 on the estimate. But that automatically from the beginning, your profit and your overhead is covered. And then you just got to do good work and get it done. And that's all the justification you need. You tell an adjuster where in the policy or where in law, federal or state, does it state what I can and cannot charge for my services. And there's also the RIA white papers I'll share with you. Which
The response I always get is that's USAA. That's not part of USA's guidelines. I can't approve that.
I don't give a shit what USA's guidelines are. Are you on their program?
Right. No.
No, you don't work for them. You're not a party to their contract. At the end of the day, we have to grow a collective set of balls as an industry. And either we're not going to do that and we just accept what we're given, like, please, sir, may I have another? Or we start making real business decisions like real business people and telling the carrier where they can put it. At the end of the day, they're not your customer. Yeah, they're writing the check, but they're legally obligated, contractually obligated to write that check. And there's nothing that binds you to that contract. And then there's nothing in that contract anyway that determines what the pricing is. I mean, you're not going to see a reference to Xactimate pricing anywhere in any state law, any federal law, or any insurance policy. Why is that? Because it's not mandated. It's just what we've accepted over the years. So it's going to be, you're going to have some hard conversations, and you got to choose. Either you're going to make a profit or you're going to scrape by. And that's not on me. It's not on USA. It's on you.
Yeah.
And that's the hard conversations that we've got to have amongst ourselves. And, I advocate, I push my clients to mark up every single thing, because it's so much easier to negotiate down from a high number than it is to negotiate up from a low number. You let the insurance company set that bar low, and they make you fight for every dollar above that. That's a really, really hard position to be in every day. Every single day you're fighting that fight, and it gets old, and eventually you give up. It's just human nature. You don't want to fight that fight anymore. What you want to do is get to that position where you don't have to fight anymore, where they know, that adjuster knows, oh shit, here comes retro again. Well, I'm not going to have that conversation again, because I don't want to get my manager involved. I don't want to, I don't want them filing another complaint to the state insurance commissioner, things like that. But unless we're willing to push that, unless we're willing to stand for ourselves we're never going to get it.
Yeah.
We're always going to be asking for more.
Yeah, and that's why we are trying to get more into mitigation and doing our own reconstruction, because obviously it's a game the insurance company plays to sever that relationship between the client and the contractor to immediately get their preferred contractor in there. And we just lost the job. That's exactly what the case was. It was a USAA. They try to claim that they only pay for actual square footages of material. So if you need a 6 linear feet of base, you have to buy it in 8 feet. And they said, no, we don't cover for that extra 2 linear feet.
Show me the policy.
Yep, that's it. And that's the part that I had the client. I said, you need to request that someone go over your policy. You need to reach out to your agent. I don't know if USA actually has agents, but and it's a client that we probably didn't need anyways, because she didn't want to listen to any of that. She just wanted her home back and together, which in the end, she just said, basically, well, you're not working with my insurance company. I have to use their preferred. And it's like, okay, I mean, so that instance is a bad example because it's really kind of a client that, we can go without, but it's, I guess, knowing how to combat that, and it is, I recommended, I said, where in the policy does it state that? And of course they threw out I've never had a contractor charge for that type of stuff.
You're the only one. You're the only one. Yeah, me and all my friends, we're the only ones.
Yeah. So
and my guys don't charge for that. Well, no
right.
shit, Sherlock, because you're an asshole and you beat everyone down.
Yeah, my husband was a contractor. He never charged for that type of stuff. Okay.
Oh, my favorite is, I was a contractor for years.
Yeah.
I know how to do this. I'm like, well, and I always say, why are you not a contractor now? Because you were no fucking good at it. That's why.
Yeah. Yeah.
You lost your shirt, but now you're pretending to be a contractor, and you're taking money out of you're taking food out of the mouths of legitimate contractors. Is what you're doing, and you're shorting. They're shorting their insureds every single day. And so that lady might come back to you, right? Because she's not going to be happy with the work product that's provided by the preferred vendor, because the preferred vendor can't afford to do the right job. Just can't.
Or in the timely manner that they want, that she wants it. I've worked for Belfour, and I've seen how long jobs can sit. And that was her biggest complaint. I need my house back in order as fast as possible. Well, we can do it. We just, I had a question for you, and not that I'm going to use this as a selling point, but just for our own knowledge. I have done it with other clients, is they are obligated to pay the cost, put you back to pre-loss conditions. But let's say that client signed my contract. Does the insurance company by law have an obligation to pay that?
If you no, it's an estimate, and as long if you haven't done the work, it's not a cost incurred. So they're not obligated. But
well, I guess let me phrase it a little bit. Let's say she signs the contract and we complete the work.
Then it's cost incurred. Then there's very little they can do.
She can turn that invoice around and submit it to her insurance company. Yeah. Okay. Yep. We have done that. And because we're a smaller company, we were able to run that risk. And technically, obviously, if it's a contract, we're in contract with the homeowner, but we don't want to turn around and advise them to do something and then turn around and say, you're obligated to pay us. So we have done that with the understanding. It was my understanding that, they are technically, as long as it's fair, reasonable, costs, that we put them back to pre-loss conditions. They are by law, they need to reimburse you.
Yeah. And that's what I do. Hold on just 1 second. I got a message I got to respond to. Password changed. There we go. But that's a fight that people are fighting every single day across the country. Um, but the more of us that are willing to stand up, uh, the easier it's going to be. But at the end of the day, we can't take responsibility from our insureds. We can't take responsibility for the homeowners that aren't willing to fight for themselves.
Yeah.
And so we need to build. You need to build into your business practices your um, oh shoot your vetting. Yeah, you need to vet your every single client before you sign them up. And if it looks like they're not going to fight, they're going to roll over for whatever the adjuster says, or they have some other ulterior motive. Um, you need to say no. You need to say, hey, we're probably not a good fit. But here's my competitors. Here's my competitor's number.
Right.
You got plenty of those up there. I'm sure there's franchises and everything else, in Nampa. So yeah, not every single job is a good job for us, and not every single client is a good client for us. That's what it comes down to. And there will
Yeah.
always be plenty of work. There will always be enough work.
Yeah.
We get into competition with each other unnecessarily, in my opinion, because when the shit really hits the fan, there's never enough of us. I don't care who the competition is; they're busy as hell too. Everyone, this winter, I'm hoping for a doozy of a winter, and there's going to come a point in mid-December where everyone's running around like chickens with their head cut off, and you're going to start getting phone calls. Hey, do you have any equipment? Do you have any equipment? And things like that. There will never be enough of us. So we need to act accordingly. We are the scarce resource, not the adjusters, not the carriers. The homeowners and the adjusters all need us more than we need them. So we get to be very, very choosy. We get to choose who we work for.
Yeah.
And if we don't, we're getting what we're asking for. We're just take all comers. There's restoration businesses go out of business. Restoration contractors go out of business every single day. And the number one cause of that is accounts receivable. They get in the cash crunch and they can't make it and they die because they're doing work without getting paid. They're doing work outside of contracts. They're not customizing and pricing. And it just all numbers of different ways. They're taking on the wrong clients. And then I've worked for 2 different restoration companies that were doing north of 5 million a year. And they both went bankrupt because they got way too out ahead of in front of their skis. And they started doing a lot of work on faith. The adjuster says, oh, just do that. Just start, just do it. And, at the end of the day, they didn't get paid. And so they got into their subs stopped getting paid. Their subs were doing work without getting paid. And then once your subs stop working for you, you're dead. Right? There's very little you can do.
Yeah, they're one of our greatest assets.
Yeah, they are.
And especially with what we're doing right now. Yeah.
You can't do it without them. So you get yourself in a position where you want to keep them, right? So you're paying them before you get paid, but so you've got, you're bankrolling this entire project or projects usually. And yeah, you're just not geared to be a bank. You're losing money. Every time you pay a sub when you haven't been paid, you're losing money. I don't care how much profit there may or may not be in it.
Yeah. Well, so I'm interested in 2 things. I'm interested in, I don't know if you offer just a class in regards to custom price lists.
I do. It's like $50. It's not even a class. It's a couple of videos and some paperwork. So I'll send you a link.
Definitely interested in that.
And just be warned, I do it very differently than Ben does.
Okay.
I don't believe that manipulating labor. What's he manipulates? He manipulates the labor overhead in order to get pricing where it needs to be. So he's relying on the labor overhead function of Xactimate to to generate all the overhead and all the profit. I think it's dishonest, in my opinion, and I'll tell him to his face it's dishonest.
Yeah.
Because Xactimate is a great cost system, and there's an honest way to use it, and that is to just say, hey, this is my overhead, this is my markup, this is the markup I used. I'm using Xactimate as my base price list for my costs. Here's my markup. Here's the final number. It's easy, it's simple, it's auditable, and it's transparent. But messing around with the labor trade overhead and doing these calculations to get things where they need to be, and he's got, in his market, he's manipulated his labor rates in such a way that, yeah, he's more profitable, but it's, when he's got his labor rates north of 150 an hour, 175 an hour for, I understand some markets, plumbers and electricians might be there already. But it's definitely not there for demo guys or water damage techs or roofers.
Well, then I got a question for you, because that is the going rate for a plumber in this area is $200 an hour.
That's,
I mean,
real.
It is unreal. I mean, it's absurd. I mean, some of the,
Well, that's because that's a function of they never send just one guy, right?
I think it's a combination of a lot of things, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's what I've heard is they don't spell it out in their invoice, but that is what I've heard. And what we've heard out of the mouth of a plumber is some of these, bigger companies are charging, $200 an hour. But it's absurd what the invoices and some of the quotes we're getting. So, that's always an uphill battle for us. It's plumbing is usually the last trade or one of the last trades, and then we're getting an invoice and we're wanting to close this out, but they're charging. We just got an invoice for a reset of a toilet for $500.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, I just, out of a $3,000 level job, that just took every little bit, we had. And it's like, okay, do we just close this out or do we submit a supplement? And it's like, and then wait to get paid. I closed it out. I collected the remaining funds from the insured just to close it out. And I didn't want to wait a month to receive $250 for a supplement or whatever it would have been. And now we just ate $250. I mean,
well, if you do what I found, the actionable insights, they queue you up when you pull a toilet. You got to plug the hole. You got to cap the lines. You got to pull the toilet. You can pull the tank off the bowl. You've got to rehab the innards, right? Because they're going to sit they're going to sit dry, so they're going to rot out. You got to change out all the gaskets and everything else. And you got to put it back. When you put it back, you got to put a new angle stop valve on. You got to put a new supply line on. You don't reuse old supply lines. You don't reuse old. So, I mean, that's about a $650 function if you accommodate for all these things. Mm-hmm. And if you're putting in a recon estimate, you get the 650 plus a 10 and 10, you're there. You're covering that $500 number.
Wow.
And you've got a plumber to warranty,
Well, I'd be a fool to say that I'm writing, absolute quality estimates because, I mean, like you said, there's always room for improvement and learning and all that stuff. So, and that's one of the reasons why we came real close to signing up with Epic Estimates, Ben's estimating, company. And maybe you can elaborate on this because, with us primarily doing reconstruction, we use DocuSketch, which we just got, but we're coming in after everything is gutted. So you don't really get to see what it looked like before. So then we're basically writing a, 2-page estimate on a piece of paper. You're writing out the whole entire scope with square footages and everything. And then it's just like, okay, well, technically that's now turning into a data entry for us. It's like, we could possibly, we could probably do that ourselves. But if we can get away from having to facilitate that, I'm open to it. I mean,
Yeah. Well, Xactimate is data entry at the end of the day. It's just sophisticated data entry. Right? You got to know a thing or two about it. But most people that have been in the trades and have built a house can really just dig into the program with the search functions and reading every single line, reading every single description. You can get yourself there, but it's a slow process. I'm always advocating on let somebody else do the legwork for you. Let somebody else do the hard work, and then just cheat, copy off their paper. There's no law against copying somebody else's estimate because they did a better, more complete job of it. So yeah, it goes back to what I recommended earlier. Let us write some sheets, and then use those. Develop your macros based on those, and then you have the macros in your system.
yeah.
And you have that crutch.
Okay, I want to follow up on that because macros, I do know because I've created them in the past.
Okay.
And then obviously it saves the price list of whatever month you created the macro. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then it doesn't really reflect what today's price list is. And I guess that's eliminated because if we use a custom price list, that's
No, you
how does
still
that
use
work?
you use the macro, but then you have to reprice
Just reprice it in the parameters or
in the estimate. Yep.
yeah. What was I going to ask? Oh, I was going to ask because I'm not using a custom price list, I did learn how to, change the yields, which has been a tremendous success up until we've kind of hit a hurdle. But that I've sat there for an hour on a big estimate, just changing the labor yields, or on a smaller estimate, I find myself sitting there for an extra 30 minutes. Now it's definitely worth the time to do that. But by creating a custom price list, would that eliminate me having to do as much of changing the labor yields?
I don't know. I think so.
Okay.
I think so. I haven't dug into the price list module that much, but I do know when you're doing factoring,
I don't necessarily mind it because I've gotten a little bit more efficient on going through, your materials and all that. And to changing it to the proper square footage for sheetrock and all that stuff, paints, gallons of paint, and then the labor hours for for that specific trade. But for our new guy, for him to do that, it's going to take him a while. So to get efficient into.
I wonder if you change it here, does that change stay in place? It's worth investigating. So give me an example. What you said drywall, right?
Yep. Whoops. I went to go open up the Xactimate, and then let me open up Xactimate and get it over to my other screen real quick.
Okay, so this has a so this is the waste factor, 15%. Is that what you're talking about when you say yield?
No, more of when you're actually in the estimate and you're changing the material and labor in the components of the estimate.
Oh, the labor yield. Okay. Drywall labor. That's still pretty low. I mean, it's high. I don't know that you need to change that at all.
Maybe if I can get an estimate, I don't know what's going on with my.
Oh, I probably don't have it enabled yet. Let me. There.
Where's it? Oh, look at that. My password expired as well.
It must be the day.
Yeah.
Today's the day.
If you have the time, I can get this and show you what I'm doing.
Yeah. Show me.
Okay.
I'm going to keep messing around with this. I think if you change the supporting events, either in components or supporting events, you do that once at the price list editor level in Xactimate here. You just go pricing.exactware.com. If you just change it once, I believe that stays changed. And then every time, like, so I've got, you can see, come on, you can see I've got 30 different markets that I've generated over time. And inside each one of these, which, let me see if I've got Boise in here. No, I don't. That's all right. Let's just go inland Pacific Northwest, Spokane. So in this, I've got automatically built in 35% markup across the board. So every time I publish this price list, I publish it once a month to just catch all the new stuff that comes out. This markup is already input there. But you can also go into labor, equipment, material, component pricing. Where's I think you can change yields in here too. No, this can just change pricing. So you change the pricing in each individual market price list, but the supporting events is global, looks like. Okay. Yeah, so I would change it. I would invite you to start using custom pricing.
Yeah.
And even if you don't do any factoring at all, if you're just changing the yields, that would be worth it for you. And so the video I'm going to send you will walk you through how to do that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm having a tough time right now getting this password.
Okay.
figured out,
Well,
'cause
then let's do this. I will send you some intake paperwork and to get signed up with Claims Delegates to write some sheets. And then what we need to write those sheets is everything you're collecting already. We need your docu-sketch, we need photos, we need a scope of some kind. We need some way to develop a sketch. That's why I like Matterport better than docu-sketch, because I've got in my account, I can just click a button and purchase the ESX file. I don't have to sketch anything anymore if it's done in Matterport.
oh well.
And you can do Matterport with a 360 camera. It doesn't take the big camera. You can do it with, where's my camera? You can do Matterport with one of these, or you can do it with an iPhone Pro. This is the 12. It's got LiDAR. You can put this in a cradle. And Matterport makes a cradle called the Axis, and you could do everything from here. Or, I don't recommend this particular camera because it's cheap. It's just like a $500 deal. I would recommend $1,000 Ricoh Theta if you're going to do Matterport. But my clients have access to my Matterport account, so they don't even have to pay for that monthly if they decide to go that direction. And I've got unlimited spaces on Matterport because I bought the plan in 2018, and I'm never giving it up.
Yeah. Okay, so you don't actually have to, because we got DocuSketch, and I think it's the Ricoh Theta camera.
The V or the Z?
Ooh, I'd have to.
Yeah. So this is the V. It's
Okay.
the lower quality than the Z1. The Z1's a whole lot better.
Gotcha. Can I share my screen really quick to show
Go
you
ahead.
how I'm doing it and
Go
how
ahead.
much time I'm probably wasting?
Yeah. Well, if you're doing it on the estimate level, you're wasting a lot of time. Yeah, you need to do it on a global level at the price list level.
Okay, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going in, I'm writing my estimate, the body of the estimate, and then once it's completed, I'm coming into the components and coming down, well, obviously the material, but going into the retail labor. And for example, base, obviously I, as you can see, I changed that to 5 hours. Probably gave me two, less than 3 hours. I changed that to 5 hours. But I'm going in and doing that for every single trade. And every single line item for that trade. So I could sit there.
So it says the vanity right there. So that's showing you all the CARP FNC labor. The vanity says it has 4.99 hours in this estimate. And so you're adding hours right here. So where does that show up? I mean, does that change? Has that changed the line items that are associated with that?
Yeah. So if I highlight those and then I'm going to go to FNC, and I need that to be 5 hours. FNC, where is the vanity?
Yeah, click on baseboard.
Where's that vanity? I got all
the it'd be CAB, wouldn't it?
Oh yeah, duh. Okay, so vanity. I'm coming in here 5 linear feet. I need that to be 5 hours. I'm going to here and then editing that, dividing 5 into 5 because I need to be 5 hours, changing that yield to 1. And then that'll reflect, let's say I needed that to be 6. Maybe let's just say I needed that to be 6 hours. So I'll go 5 divided by 6 hours.
So the effect is it just changes the line item price.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay. And that's so you're baking it into that line item instead of adding a labor line item. Okay.
So yeah, it's all hidden in. For example, one of the changes that's helped me is, for example, we're actually doing subfloor repairs in this estimate. I used to do, instead of what is this? I would do material for my subfloor, and then I would actually add in framer hours.
Yeah.
I mean, from my experience, adjusters hate to see labor hours.
They do.
That's a perfect way for them to say, no, that's not going to take, that's not 10 hours, that's 6 hours. So instead of putting those labor hours, I changed the labor hours within the line item. And that has helped because, it's not as, transparent. It's a little bit more hidden. But
what did Ben say about supervision and project management?
We went over the white pages. It's as we should be charging it on every single job. There's
so
obviously
how do you calculate it right now?
I do 12%. And this is picking his brain, 12% of the labor summary, total hours times 12%.
Okay. And then you just add that labor hour, those labor hours.
Yeah. And then I got
conditions. I'm curious. Yeah, it doesn't mean right or wrong or indifferent. Why do you put general conditions at the end instead of the beginning?
I started doing this. I actually I was taught by guys who took Ben's class, and so they probably went off of his philosophy. But it's kind of some of these things like residential project manager hours. It's just a lack of a better way of saying it, probably a psychological thing. If they see this in the beginning, they're automatically going to start off on the wrong foot. But putting it at the end, I don't know how much truth that is. I guess it's just doing it by habit.
Well, unless you have your total in in your opening statement, they're skipping directly to the end anyway. Right?
Probably, yeah,
They're going right. They don't care about anything but the brass tacks. So they're skipping to the last page of the estimate and then they're moving up from there.
yeah, yeah,
All right.
yeah.
I just
No,
like
good
putting
point.
it up front because I believe in 100% transparency. And, if there's a hard conversation that's going to be had, I want to have it first.
Sure.
I always put terminal conditions first. That's just my way of doing it. So I don't like a blanket 12% because I don't think it's customizable enough. Hold on. I'm gonna keep an eye on the clock here. How do I get out of full screen? How do I get out of full screen? Exit full screen. There we go. All right. I'm gonna pull up the labor calculator. So
You want to go ahead and
give
stop
me
share?
the yeah, no, hold on a second. Go to the components. Go show me the labor components again. Well, give me a total labor hours on this job.
Let's see. You want to add, oh, here we go, retail labor. No, that's the
No,
price.
you had a window where it had all the labor hours like totaled. You can do
Oh, for that trade?
you can print a component. No, for all of it. You can print a components report. You said 12%. Yeah, where'd you get that 12%?
Oh,
12% of
labor summary.
there
That's
we
right.
go.
Sorry.
Yeah, find the
Sorry.
labor summary. There we go.
Yeah.
Total hours 185.14. Okay. Okay. 186. How many guys on your crew? 4, 6, 2? So 2-man?
Yeah, I mean, technically we have 2 guys out in the field.
Okay.
Sometimes 3.
Okay. 186 hours with a crew size of 2. That job is going to take 12 days. So half-time supervision on 12 days is 48 hours. That's it. I just like using real numbers, calculable, like 12% doesn't allow you to say, well, no, I'm going to put a crew of 4 on here. That's really only going to take 6 days. I only need a half-time supervisor. I'm going to charge 24 hours or 28 with slippage.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I completely agree. There's this is what I sometimes tell the adjuster. What I'm charging is my project manager is going to spend way more time on this project than 8 hours or 10 hours.
Yeah.
So my
And if
pricing is fair.
your PM, if he's a write and run PM, he's playing superintendent too. Yeah. I mean, he probably got closer to 56 hours supervision in this thing and project management.
Yeah.
So I think I'll send you a copy of this spreadsheet.
Cool.
And it's just dead simple. And Nampa, you probably got some time where if you get a job that's an hour away, you're going to have travel time in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, very cool.
At the end of the day, we got to either it's justified and you feel right charging for it, or you don't. And I'd like to think that you're a stand-up guy and you run a great business that you want to last for a long time. You're not going to charge for something you're not going to do. And so if it's on your estimate or your invoice, that's a legitimate charge, regardless of the pricing, because the pricing is yours. So you just got to own that. You just got to stand up for it and own it.
Yeah. Well, cool. So what requirements do you need? Because I want to put it in place, the estimating. I definitely do. We're definitely going to do the custom price list. But as far as getting rolling on the estimating service,
Yeah,
how
we
fast do we
operate by the hour, so 165 an hour. Bigger jobs, we go with a schedule of fees, and we got a sliding scale of what that fee is going to be. And I'll send you our price list. I'll send you our schedule of fees. But for the most part, folks just say, hey, just charge me by the hour, $165 an hour. And it is what it is. It takes what it takes. At that rate, we're at the $2 billion worth of estimates we wrote last year, where our total fees were less than 0.5% on that. But the smaller jobs, usually our fees are going to be 2 or 3% just by a function of the math on the smaller jobs. It's hard to, there's not a lot of money in a $3,000 job. So
Right.
I would say if it's going to be a $3,000 job, now MIT is a different story. We'll spend a half hour on mitigation, and we'll spit out $3,000 MIT or $5,000 MIT for a half hour, and it's cost you $45 or $80 or whatever. That is money well spent, because we charge in 15-minute increments. So it's it's not like you're in it for an hour regardless. So anyway, we've been doing it a while. It's working. We haven't had too many complaints so far. So
Okay, just so I can get an idea of like, we're probably on average on the reconstruction side somewhere around $15,000 to $20,000, claims. How long does that usually, I know it's kind of a blanket.
It'd take 2 or 3 days to get back to you.
As far as the time of writing the estimate.
Yeah, it's probably $500 or less.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
And I would say start charging for more things. You can charge for sketching. You can charge for Matterport. You can charge for 3D scanning. There's an actual item. I think it's fee a 3D scan or scan 3D. There's a fee that you can put in to do these things that are direct job costs. And an estimate writing is a direct job cost. Whether you just take our invoice and put it in your estimate, or you put in project managing hours to cover it, it's still legitimate in my opinion. Most people use it as a bargaining chip. They'll put it in and then use it as, okay, beat me up, I'll take it out sort of thing. But still, if you don't put it in, if you don't ask for it, the answer is always going to be no.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I would say start pushing the envelope, and you want to play.
I guess
nice,
my only concern.
Unfair.
Yeah, I guess my only concern is let's just say it's a $20,000 job and we invest $500 into it, and the client ends up not using us because we're doing the reconstruction only on that job. So it's not like we've been able to really control that claim from the beginning.
Well, I'd bill them. I'd bill them for your costs. I'd bill them for your time.
Yeah.
We don't do restoration's not a free estimate world. We don't give free estimates. We don't give free inspections. There's just it's just too much downside. So either, it goes on, it's back to you. You got to vet properly. And if these guys are going to waste your time, you want to know as soon as possible, so you don't spend as much time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't like writing estimates for projects that aren't signed. I really don't, because there's a very real possibility that people will not use you, and then you're going to be out my fee. And I've got my own accounts receivable issues when it comes to that sort of thing. Guys like, well, I didn't get the job, so I'm not going to pay you. I'm like, and honestly, I'm like, fuck you.
Right. No, absolutely. Yeah,
I paid my subs. I paid my subs.
Yeah. No, I coming from our end, I would definitely understand where you're coming from. So you provided a service, you should be paid for it. So regardless of, we didn't sell the job, so you shouldn't be affected by that.
But I got no control. I got no control over whether you can sell the job or not. So sell it first, get it signed. If you don't, do you have an AOB in your contract? Assignment of benefits?
No.
Get it, do it. You need to have an assignment of benefits. Do you have a schedule of fees with your contract?
We have in our work authorization form that basically states that if they choose not to go with us, they're going to, no, it's not, let me see, I have it right here. Basically says cancellation policy, retro restoration reserves the right to charge the client an estimating fee of $250 or 5% of the overall estimate total, whichever is greater for any services rendered the client requests. This fee shall be terminated upon contracting with retro restoration to perform the rebuild. The only caveat to that is, you know, if we technically didn't get them approved for an estimate, for me, I just don't feel right to charge them for that. Because we really didn't provide service.
There's so much out of your control. There's so much you don't control in that whole process. You could do everything right and still lose the job and still lose the time that you spent putting that together. So, you know, I'm all for being fair, but I don't bend over for anybody.
Yeah.
Right. You know, and you know, it's not your house, it's not your claim, it's not your insurance company, it's not your insurance policy. You can't control any of that. But if someone says, hey, I need this done, I write, people find me, right? People find me from the web or YouTube or whatever else, and homeowners find me and they want the same thing. I got homeowners once a month, I get a call from a homeowner, hey, I need an estimate done in Xactimate. And my first question is, well, who's your contractor? Well, I don't have one. Like, okay, well, your estimate's going to cost X. I don't guarantee you're going to get paid a dime based on this estimate, but you're asking me for my professional time to do this for you. That's a service. You know, you estimating for somebody is a separate service from you repairing somebody's house, and you need to treat it as such. Regardless of, there's no guaranteed outcomes, especially when it comes to insurance adjusters and insurance companies. So you can't give any assurances that anything's going to be covered or paid for, but you can give them assurance that you're going to spend your time and do the best work you can do. That's the only guarantee and assurance you can give, but that doesn't come free. And don't do it for free. You know, if someone goes away, you know, something goes wrong with the claim, charge them that $250. Because eventually, if you don't charge them, you know, this thing goes legal or whatever else down the road. If you don't charge them, you got no leg to stand on. You got no recourse. But you do charge them, they can.
I need to revise this. I need to revise this, that because it says estimating fee of $250 or 5% of the overall estimate total.
Okay.
Or do you think that, because let's just say, for example, the client that we just lost to the preferred, I've probably spent over 10 hours on that job, but I didn't get that total amount approved for them. Should I still, it doesn't matter, should I still charge them that $250 or 5%? Because the 5% will kick in on this job.
I would.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the opportunity cost. You could have been doing something else with your time.
Yeah. I guess from a legal standpoint.
I mean, charge them. You may not ever collect that money, but at least you have it in writing on the record that this is the time you spent to do this for them.
Yeah.
If you don't charge them, then what? You know, let's say they fuck around with this thing for 6 months, and then they come back to you. Oh, well, the program vendor was full of shit. No kidding. I knew that. Now I want you to do the job. Well, I would start from a position of, well, you got to pay me for my 10 hours I spent on the front end before I do anything for you.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they're running their loss on your checkbook.
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyway, all right. I gotta prepare for my next call here. I'll send you an email with some information, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Awesome, man. I appreciate your time and looking forward to working with you. Yeah, good talk, man. I appreciate it.
Take care, Dennis.
All right, take care.